In the year 2245, the world was very different from what it had been just a few decades earlier. Technology had advanced in amazing ways, and people lived more comfortably than ever. But all of that changed one bright morning when a huge alien ship appeared in the sky. The ship was like nothing anyone had ever seen. It was dark, shiny, and shaped like a giant arrow. It hovered above the city of New York, casting a shadow over the busy streets. People stopped in their tracks, staring up at the sky in fear and wonder. News spread quickly. All over the world, people turned on their televisions and grabbed their phones, trying to learn more about the strange object. Governments rushed to respond, sending military jets to investigate. Many people were afraid. What did the aliens want? Were they friendly or hostile? Inside a small apartment in Brooklyn, a young soldier named Jake sat with his best friend, Lily. They were both in their early 20s, full of hopes and dreams for the future. Jake had just finished his basic training in the military, while Lily was studying to become a teacher. As they watched the news, Jake felt a mix of excitement and fear. "I can't believe this is happening," Jake said, his eyes glued to the screen. "What if they attack us?" "I don't know," Lily replied, biting her lip, "but we have to be ready for anything." Just then, the news anchor on the screen spoke with urgency. "The alien ship has landed in Central Park. An alien warrior has exited the ship and is demanding a champion from Earth to fight her in a duel. This is a challenge for our planet's honor." Jake's heart raced. A duel? He had heard stories about warriors and battles, but this felt different. The alien warrior was tall and strong, with bright green skin and glowing eyes. She wore armor that shimmered in the sunlight. The crowd around her was large, filled with curious and scared people. "Look at her," Jake said, pointing at the screen. "She looks like she could take on a whole army by herself." Lily nodded, her eyes wide. "Who would even want to fight her? That's crazy." The alien warrior raised her voice, speaking in a deep, powerful tone. "I am Kale of the Zorith Empire. I demand a champion to represent your world in combat. If you refuse, your planet will face destruction." The words echoed in Jake's mind. He felt a sudden urge to act. He had always admired heroes and warriors, and this was his chance to do something important. He could feel the fear in the air. But he also felt something else, a spark of bravery. "I'll do it," Jake said suddenly. Lily turned to him in shock. "Are you crazy? You can't fight her. She's an alien warrior." "I have to," Jake replied, his voice firm. "If I don't, who will? This is our chance to show that we're not afraid." Lily sighed, knowing that Jake's determination was strong. "But what if you get hurt? What if you lose?" "I won't lose," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "I'll train hard. I'll find a way to win." As the news continued, Jake made up his mind. He would volunteer to fight Kale. It was his chance to prove himself, not just to the world, but to himself. He wanted to be a hero, to stand up for his people in their time of need. Later that evening, Jake met with his mentor, a retired soldier named Tom. Tom was a tough man with years of experience in combat. He had seen many battles and had stories that inspired Jake. When Jake told him about the duel, Tom listened carefully. "You want to fight an alien warrior?" Tom asked, raising an eyebrow. "You know she is not like any opponent you've faced before." "I know," Jake replied, his voice steady. "But I have to try. I can't let fear stop me." Tom nodded slowly. "You have courage, Jake, but courage alone won't win a fight. You need to train hard and learn everything you can." For the next few days, Jake trained with Tom every chance he got. They practiced different fighting techniques, focusing on speed and agility. Tom taught Jake about strategy, showing him how to outthink an opponent rather than just relying on strength. Jake learned quickly, pushing himself to improve every day as the date of the duel approached. Excitement and fear filled the air. People all over the world were talking about the fight. Some believed Jake would win, while others thought he was. Foolish to even try, but Jake was determined. He wanted to show that humanity was strong and resilient, despite the odds. The day before the duel, Jake stood in front of a mirror, looking at his reflection. He felt nervous, but he also felt ready. He thought of his family, his friends, and everyone who believed in him. He couldn't let them down. Lily came by to see him. "Are you sure you want to do this?" she asked again, her voice filled with concern. "I have to, Lily," Jake said softly. "This is bigger than just me. It's about all of us." Lily took a deep breath. "I believe in you, Jake. Just be careful out there." "I will," he promised, giving her a reassuring smile. The next day, the arena was packed with people from all around the globe. Cameras flashed, and the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Jake felt a mix of nerves and adrenaline as he walked into the arena. He could see Kale on the other side, standing tall and proud, ready for battle. As the announcer introduced them, Jake took a deep breath. This was it. He was about to face the most important challenge of his life. With determination in his heart, he stepped forward, ready to prove that humanity was strong enough to stand against any threat. Certainly. Here's part 2 of the story. The alien warrior demanded a duel, then collapsed at the first drop of her blood. Written in simple and basic English in a third-person style. ## part 2. The duel is set. News of the alien warrior's challenge spread quickly around the world. People were glued to their screens, watching every update about Kale and her demand for a duel. Everyone was talking about it, from busy office workers to school children. Some were excited, while others were scared. Jake felt the weight of this moment as he prepared for what was to come. After volunteering to fight Kale, Jake tried to focus on his training. He spent every day at the gym, working on his strength and speed. He pushed himself harder than ever before. Tom, his mentor, was always there to guide him. They practiced fighting techniques and strategies, preparing for the day when Jake would face the alien warrior. "Remember, Jake," Tom said one afternoon as they sparred, "it's not just about being strong. You have to be smart. Look for openings and use your speed." Jake nodded, feeling the sweat drip down his face. "I understand, Tom. I will do my best." As the days passed, the date of the duel was announced. It would take place in a massive arena built in Central Park. The arena could hold thousands of people, and it was going to be broadcast live around the world. The excitement was palpable, and Jake could feel it in his bones. On the day before the duel, Jake felt a mix of nerves and excitement. He spent the evening with Lily, his best friend, who had always supported him. They sat together in his small apartment, eating pizza and watching the news. "Are you ready for tomorrow?" Lily asked, looking at Jake with concern. "I think so," Jake replied, trying to sound confident. "I've trained hard, and I know I can do this." Lily nodded, but she still looked worried. "Just be careful, Jake. Kale seems really powerful." "I don't want you to get hurt." "I'll be careful," Jake promised. "I'll use my speed and strategy. I won't just charge in blindly." Lily smiled, but Jake could see that she was still worried. They talked late into the night, sharing memories and dreams. Jake knew that no matter what happened, he had to give it his all. The next morning, the sun rose bright and clear. Jake woke up early, his heart racing with anticipation. Today was the day. He dressed in his military uniform and took a deep breath. He looked in the mirror, trying to calm his nerves. "You can do this," he whispered to himself. When Jake arrived at the arena, he was amazed by the size of the crowd. Thousands of people filled the seats, cheering and waving signs. Cameras flashed everywhere as reporters rushed to capture the moment. Jake felt a wave of excitement wash over him, mixed with a hint of fear. As he walked through the entrance, he could see Kale on the other side of the arena. She was waiting, tall and strong, her green skin shimmering in the light. The announcer introduced both fighters, and the crowd erupted into cheers. Jake felt the energy in the air. It was electric. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the duel of the century," the announcer shouted. "In this corner, we have Jake, the brave champion of Earth. And in the other corner, we have Kale, the fierce warrior of the Zoroth Empire." Jake took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. He could feel the eyes of the world on him. He glanced at Kale, who stood confidently, ready for battle. He knew he had to focus. The bell rang, and the duel began. Kale moved quickly, charging at Jake with incredible speed. He barely had time to react. She swung her fist, but Jake ducked just in time. The crowd gasped as Kale's punch missed him. By inches. "Stay light on your feet." Tom's voice echoed in Jake's mind. He remembered their training and kept moving, dodging to the side as Kale attacked again. She was fast, and her strikes were powerful. Jake quickly realized that Kale was not just strong. She was also smart. She had experience and skill. He needed to think carefully and not let her overwhelm him. As she swung her fists, he focused on finding openings. After a few exchanges, Jake managed to land a quick jab to Kale's side. Crowd cheered loudly, and Jake felt a rush of adrenaline. He had proven that he could hit her, that he was not just a weak human. But Kale quickly recovered, her expression changing from surprise to determination. The day of the duel had finally arrived. The sun shone brightly over Central Park, and the air buzzed with excitement. Thousands of people gathered in the arena, their voices mixing into a loud roar. They were there to witness the fight between Jake and the alien warrior, Kale. Some were hopeful, while others were filled with fear. Jake stood backstage, feeling both nervous and excited. His heart raced as he listened to the crowd. He could hear their cheers and shouts, but he also heard whispers of doubt. Can he really win? What if he gets hurt? Jake pushed those thoughts aside. He had trained hard, and he was ready to fight. Tom stood next to him, offering a few last words of encouragement. "Remember what we practiced. Stay focused. And think before you act. You can do this, Jake." "Thanks, Tom," Jake replied, feeling grateful for the support. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. He knew he had to stay strong, not just for himself, but for everyone watching. As the announcer called his name, Jake stepped out into the arena. The moment he stepped into the bright lights, the crowd erupted into cheers. He raised his hand, trying to show confidence, even though he felt a flutter of nerves in his stomach. On the other side of the arena, Kale stood tall and proud. She was even more imposing in person, her green skin glimmering in the sunlight. Her armor was shiny and seemed to reflect the energy of the crowd. She looked fierce and ready for battle. Jake felt a wave of intimidation wash over him, but he quickly reminded himself that he had come this far. The announcer introduced them both. "In this corner, we have Jake, the brave champion of Earth. And in the other corner, Kale, the powerful warrior from the Zoroth Empire. Let the duel begin." The crowd went wild as the two fighters faced each other. Jake could feel the energy in the arena. He took a deep breath, trying to clear his mind. Kale's eyes locked onto his, and he could see a spark of challenge in them. She was ready to fight, and he had to be too. As the duel began, Kale moved first. She lunged forward with incredible speed, her fist aimed straight at Jake. He barely had time to react, but he remembered Tom's advice. Instead of panicking, He sidestepped just in time. Kale's punch missed him by inches. The crowd gasped, and Jake felt a rush of adrenaline. He could dodge her attacks. Jake countered with a quick jab of his own, but Kale was quick. She blocked his punch effortlessly and kicked back, sending him stumbling. He regained his balance, focused on her movements, and tried to anticipate her next attack. Kale was strong, and Jake could see that she was toying with him. She moved gracefully, almost like a dancer, dodging and weaving. Jake knew he had to think strategically. He couldn't just rely on strength. He needed to use his speed and wits. The duel continued, with both fighters exchanging blows. Kale's attacks were powerful, and Jake felt the impact of each strike. But he was determined to keep going. He remembered the people watching, the hope in their eyes, and the belief that he could win. As the match progressed, Jake began to find his rhythm. He started to anticipate Kale's moves, dodging her punches and looking for openings. He aimed for her side, landing a quick jab that surprised her. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Jake felt a surge of confidence. "Keep it up, Jake," Tom shouted from the sidelines. The support from his mentor fueled Jake's determination. He could see Kale's expression change. She was no longer just playing with him. She was starting to take him seriously. Kale responded with a flurry of attacks, her fists flying. Jake focused on staying light on his feet, moving quickly to avoid her strikes. He could feel the energy of the crowd growing as they cheered him on. With each dodge, he felt more alive. But Kale was relentless. She feigned a left punch and then swung with a right, landing a hit on Jake's shoulder. Pain shot through him, but he gritted his teeth and kept going. He couldn't give up. Now, he had to push through the pain. As the duel continued, both fighters were showing signs of fatigue. Jake could see that Kale was powerful, but he also noticed that she was starting to breathe harder. Maybe she was not as invincible as she seemed. In a moment of focus, Jake saw an opening. Kale had shifted her weight to her left foot, and he remembered Tom's training. He quickly moved in, throwing a series of quick punches aimed at her torso. One of his punches connected, and Kale stumbled back. The crowd gasped again, and Jake felt a rush of excitement. He had landed a hit. He could see doubt in Kale's eyes for the first time. She was not just a warrior. She was also vulnerable. But Kale quickly regained her composure. Anger flashed across her face as she charged at Jake, her fists ready. Jake braced himself, knowing this was going to be tough. He dodged her first punch, but couldn't avoid the second. Kale's fist connected with his side, and he felt the wind knocked out of him. Jake stumbled, but he refused to fall. He pushed himself back up, focusing on the cheers of the crowd. "You can do this," they shouted. He knew he had to keep fighting. As the duel continued, both fighters were getting tired. Jake's muscles ached, and he could feel bruises forming. But he also felt a fire inside him. He was fighting for Earth, for his friends, and for everyone who believed in him. With a determined look, Jake moved closer to Kale. He feinted to the left and then swung to the right, aiming for her jaw. His punch connected, and Kale staggered back, looking surprised. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Jake felt a rush of energy. Kale shook her head, regaining her focus. She charged at him again, and Jake braced for impact. In that moment, he realized he could not just react to her moves. He had to outsmart her. He remembered Tom's words about strategy. As Kale approached, Jake quickly ducked and rolled to the side, avoiding her powerful punch. He was now behind her. With all his strength, he delivered a swift kick to her back. Kale stumbled forward, and the crowd gasped again. Jake could feel victory within reach. He had surprised her, and he could see that she was beginning to doubt herself. With every passing moment, he knew he had a chance to prove that humanity was strong. As the duel continued, Both fighters were exhausted, but neither was willing to give up. The tension in the arena was palpable, and every eye was on them. Jake knew he had to stay focused. This fight was not just about strength. It was about heart. The duel raged on, and the energy in the arena was electric. Jake and Kale exchanged blows back and forth, each fighter pushing themselves to the limit. Sweat dripped down Jake's face, and his muscles burned with fatigue. But he couldn't stop now. He was fighting not just for himself, but for everyone on Earth. Kale had regained her footing after Jake's last kick. She glared at him with fierce determination, her pride as a warrior ignited. Jake could see that she was not just a powerful opponent. She was also a proud one. He needed to find a way to turn the tide in his favor. As they circled each other, Jake remembered the stories Tom had told him about great warriors. They didn't just rely on strength. They used their minds to outsmart their opponents. Jake decided it was time to change his approach. Instead of trying to match Kale's power, he would use his speed and agility. Kale lunged at him again, her fists swinging. Jake ducked low, narrowly avoiding her punch. He rolled to the side and quickly got back on his feet. He noticed that Kale was starting to tire, her movements less fluid than before. This was his chance. Jake feigned a move to the left, making Kale react. When she committed to blocking that side, he quickly shifted to the right and aimed a punch at her side. The blow connected, and Kale let out a gasp, surprised by his speed. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Jake felt a surge of hope. "Keep going, Jake," someone shouted from the stands. It was Tom, cheering him on. The support fueled his determination. If he could keep surprising Kale, he might just win. But Kale was not easily defeated. Anger flashed in her eyes as she recovered from the hit. She charged at Jake with renewed energy, throwing a series of quick punches. Jake dodged and weaved, trying to stay one step ahead. He could see that Kale was strong, but he also sensed that she was becoming frustrated. In a moment of inspiration, Jake decided to change his tactics again. He stopped moving so much and focused on his defense. He would let Kale come to him, waiting for the right moment to strike. As Kale swung her fists, Jake blocked and absorbed the hits, using his arms to shield himself. "Is that all you've got?" Jake taunted, trying to goad her into making a mistake. Kale growled, clearly irritated. Her pride as a warrior would not allow her to back down. She charged at him again, and Jake braced himself. In the heat of the moment, Kale threw a powerful punch aimed at Jake's head. He ducked just in time, feeling the rush of air as her fist passed overhead. But in that split second, something unexpected happened. As Kale's fist missed, it struck the ground with incredible force. The impact sent a shockwave through the arena. Dust and debris flew into the air, and Kale staggered back, momentarily off balance. Jake seized the opportunity. With all the strength he could muster, he lunged forward and delivered a solid punch to her midsection. The blow landed hard, and Kale doubled over, gasping for breath. For the first time, Jake saw a flicker of vulnerability in her eyes. She staggered back, struggling to regain her composure. The crowd fell silent, stunned by. The arena was filled with noise as the crowd erupted in cheers and gasps. Jake and Kale stood facing each other, the tension between them thick. Jake had never expected the duel to take such a turn. Kale, the powerful alien warrior, had fallen to her knees. But instead of feeling like a victor, Jake felt a weight in his chest. As Kale steadied herself, she looked around at the crowd. They were still cheering, but her eyes showed a mix of confusion and pain. Jake could see that she was struggling with her feelings. He had hurt her, but it was not just her body that was wounded. It was her pride as well. "Are you okay?" Jake asked, genuine concern in his voice. He stepped closer, wanting to help but not wanting to overstep. Kale nodded slowly, though her expression was still uncertain. I am not used to this, she admitted, her voice shaky. I have never lost a fight before. I did not expect you to be so strong. Jake felt a sense of relief wash over him. I didn't want to hurt you. I just wanted to show everyone that humans can fight too. Kale looked at him, her expression softening. You have shown that. But it is more than just strength. You have courage and heart. The crowd began to quiet down, sensing the change in the atmosphere. They had come to witness a battle, but instead they were witnessing something far more profound, a moment of connection between two very different beings. The announcer stepped forward, trying to regain control of the situation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a duel. It is a moment of understanding. Jake has fought bravely, and Kale has shown resilience. What happens next is up to them. Jake turned to the announcer, then back to Kale. Do you want to talk? Maybe we can find a way to end this without more fighting. Kale considered his words. You are different from what I expected. I thought humans were weak and easy to defeat. But you are strong in ways I did not understand. Jake smiled, encouraged by her words. Maybe we can learn from each other. I don't want to fight you anymore. I just want to find a way for both of our worlds to live in peace. Kale's eyes narrowed slightly. You would risk your honor. For peace? Jake nodded. Yes, fighting doesn't have to be the only answer. We can find other ways to solve our problems. The crowd watched in silence, captivated by the unexpected turn of events. People were whispering among themselves, wondering what would happen next. Many had come to see a battle, but now they were witnessing a moment of diplomacy. Kale took a deep breath, considering Jake's words. If we do not fight, what will happen to my people? They came here expecting a victory. They will not understand a different outcome. We can explain it to them, Jake replied. We can show them that humans are not just warriors. We are capable of understanding and cooperation. The announcer stepped forward again. This is a historic moment. Let us hear from both fighters. What do you decide? Kale looked at the crowd, then back at Jake. I will speak to my people. I will tell them what I have learned today. But you must promise to do the same for your world. Jake nodded eagerly. I promise. I will tell them that we can find peace together. The crowd erupted in applause, cheering for both fighters. They had come to see a duel, but they were witnessing something much greater, a chance for two worlds to come together. As the cheers continued, Kale turned to Jake. I am grateful for this chance. You have shown me that strength is not just about fighting. Perhaps there is more to learn from humans than I realized. Jake smiled, feeling a sense of pride. And I have learned that we can be brave in different ways. We don't always have to fight to prove our strength. With that, Kale extended her hand toward Jake. He took it, and the crowd roared again. They had seen a fight turn into a friendship. A battle become a bridge between two worlds. As they stood together, Jake felt a sense of hope. They had faced each other as enemies, but now they were allies. They could work together to create a future where humans and Zorthians could coexist peacefully. After the duel, the two fighters exited the arena together, hand in hand. The crowd continued to cheer, their excitement palpable. People waved flags and shouted, celebrating this unexpected turn of events. News cameras captured every moment, broadcasting it to viewers around the world. As Jake and Kale walked through the crowd, people reached out to touch them, wanting to share in this historic moment. Jake felt a mix of emotions: pride, relief, and a deep sense of responsibility. He knew that this was just the beginning. They had to continue to work together to build trust between their peoples. Once they reached a quieter area, Jake turned to Kale. What do you think will happen next? How do we convince both sides that peace is possible? Kale thought for A moment. I will speak to my leaders. They will want to hear about your bravery and your willingness to find a peaceful solution. It will not be easy, but I believe they will listen." Jake nodded. "And I will talk to my government. They need to understand that we can learn from each other. This is a chance for both of our worlds to grow." Kale smiled, her confidence returning. "Together, we can show them that unity is stronger than conflict." As they prepared to meet with their respective leaders, Jake felt a sense of hope for the future. The duel had turned into a moment of understanding, and he believed they could turn that moment into something even bigger. That evening, the two fighters held a press conference, addressing the world together. They shared their experiences and talked about the importance of peace. They spoke of their fight, not just as warriors, but as representatives of their worlds. "We have shown that strength can come in many forms," Jake said to the gathered reporters. "We do not need to fight to prove our worth. Let us work together for a brighter future." Kale added, "I have learned that humans are more than just warriors. You are capable of great compassion and understanding. Together, we can create a new path." The response from the public was overwhelming. People from all over the world cheered for the message of peace. They had come to see a battle, but they were leaving with hope for a new beginning. As the conference ended, Jake and Ike. Kale stood side by side, ready to face the challenges ahead. They knew that the road to peace would not be easy, but they were determined to walk it together. And so, the story of the duel transformed into a story of friendship, understanding, and the power of hope. Jake and Kale had changed the course of their worlds, proving that even the fiercest warriors could find common ground. The world was still talking about the strange duel in Central Park. People watched the news and saw videos of Jake and Kale shaking hands after their fight. Some people were excited and hopeful, but others were nervous and did not trust the alien visitors. Many people had questions about Kale and her people. Some wondered why she had become weak after she started to bleed. Others wanted to know what would happen next. Jake felt a mix of emotions as he walked through the city. People stopped him on the street to thank him or ask for photos. He tried to smile, but he was tired. He could not stop thinking about Kale. He worried about her and hoped she was all right. He knew that their story was not finished. Kale was staying in a special room inside a government building. She was not a prisoner, but there were guards outside her door to keep her safe. Medical teams checked on her every few hours. They were curious about her body and wanted to know how it worked. Kale answered their questions, but she missed her home. She felt alone and far away from her people. One morning, Jake was invited to visit Kale. He walked through long hallways and past many guards. When he finally reached Kale's room, a doctor opened the door and let him in. Kale was sitting by the window, looking out at the city. She turned when she heard Jake enter. "Hello, Jake," she said quietly. Her voice was softer than before. "Hi, Kale," Jake replied, giving her a gentle smile. He sat in a chair across from her. For a moment, they were both quiet. Jake did not know what to say. He could see that Kale looked tired and sad. "How are you feeling?" Jake asked. Kale looked down at her hands. "I am better now, but I am still weak. I have never lost so much strength before. When I saw my own blood, I could not fight anymore. It is strange, but it is part of my people's beliefs." Jake listened carefully. He wanted to understand her. "Can you tell me more about it?" he asked. Kale nodded. "On my world, blood is very important. It is a symbol of life and honor. If a warrior bleeds in battle, it means they have lost control. Our bodies respond by making us weak, so we cannot fight anymore. It is a way to protect us, but it also feels like shame." Jake thought about this. He realized that Kale's weakness was not just physical. It was also emotional. I understand, Jake said. On Earth, we also feel embarrassed or ashamed when we fail. But I don't think you should feel bad. You showed great bravery. Kale looked at him, surprised. You do not think less of me? Jake shook his head. No, I respect you even more. You faced your fear and still stood strong. That takes real courage. Kale smiled for the first time since the duel. Thank you, Jake. That means a lot to me. They talked for a long time. Kale told Jake about her home, her family, and her training as a warrior. She described the cities on her planet, the food they ate, and the games they played as children. Jake shared stories about his own life, his family, and his dreams for the